Welcome to the Final Buzz Podcast. This week we're going to work with a short crowd today. We got Alex and Gep here with us, missing a couple other guys. But we're going to talk about the latest sports news, talk about the upcoming NFL week, and also previous news that we came from last week.
All right, we're going to get into the recap for week 2. Let's talk about the Thursday night game, the Bengals and the Ravens. Bengals looked pretty good against, the Ravens. I thought that their defense would come out more. Lamar actually got some reps in the game, came in at receiver. They were trying to do a trick play,
Several trick plays.
Receiver passed down the field to a wide open person, but it never happened.
So me watching the game, I liked Lamar getting in, but he came in so sporadically, and every single time he was in, he seemed like he was in a different role. And not to say he looked confused, but they just kept throwing something different at him, and it never worked out.
That offensive coordinator out there in Baltimore is just kind of looking at a way. Like I said, they used that first round pick on him.
They want to get him involved.
Yeah, they want to get involved, and that's the thing. People know he's fast. People know he can still throw the ball, and so that's the thing. If you just throw him out there, that's going to throw defense off. But the defense played nice sound football, and they didn't get tricked up by all that stuff.
Well, even when he was in the combine, he said, I'm a quarterback.
I'm nothing.
Yeah, I'm nothing but a quarterback. But the way Baltimore's making it seem, he's kind of seeming like a guy that they can throw anywhere on the field just as of right now.
And I think he should accept that role. Like, you want to get playing time where you can get playing time.
Yeah.
Especially when you want to show off whatever you have.
He's
you get the chance.
He's at OW. He's an offensive weapon right now. Like, that's what he's that key to something special. And I said that's what I mean. Look for him. They did it in week 1. They did it in week 2. I could see him doing it throughout the season, and eventually getting several good plays that they can string together in practice and stuff like that they can bring in onto Thursday night games and Sunday night games.
So being a Bengals fan, I want to quickly touch base with some highs and lows. Obviously, the highs being that we happened to score all 4 of our touchdowns really quick in the first half. Well, I guess that that might be a low that we didn't get any touchdowns in the second half, but our offense looked lethal in that first half. And what scares me is I know Joe Mixon didn't score in the game, but him just being out there is a threat. And you notice that he gets hurt right before halftime.
Yeah.
So then going into the third quarter, he doesn't play a single snap, and our offense is stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
We get nothing going for us. Everything, it just went completely downhill really fast. And then also, Marvin Lewis, and the reasons why he frustrates me as a coach, you could tell that at halftime, he quit playing to win. He started playing not to lose.
Yeah, there's a big difference too.
Yes, and he does this every year. He does this every game. If we have a big lead, he gets scared. He doesn't want to push it. He just wants to maintain a safe distance. However, we also got more injuries that scare me. We have a tough game next week in Carolina without Joe Mixon, without, I'm pretty sure, our starting center rookie Billy Price, and then our defensive end Michael Johnson. He's out for weeks.
Yeah.
And our guys got banged up.
You still got, like I said, Carolina team still banged up. That's gonna be whose bench is deeper at that point. Whose guys get more reps and things like that. But that'll definitely be an interesting game to watch as well, week 3.
Well, I think you will still come out with a win, but we have Giovanni Bernard. He's proven he's not as good as Mixon, but I trust him enough to go in there and not make mistakes.
He's a good second guy, especially when he was out. He filled that role that Mixon had. He wasn't doing necessarily any better, way extraordinarily worse than Mixon, but he was there. He played a role and he did a good job at it. I think everything you need from a backup.
And what I'm really excited about, which I wasn't really thinking about until Mixon got hurt, we drafted a running back, Mark Walton, out of Miami. Prior to his injury, his senior year, he may have not even have fallen to the 4th round. But due to the injury, he didn't get as much playing time, and then that affected his draft. But I'm excited to see what he's got to offer.
Well, Austin, you mentioned the Carolinas, their injuries. I think that was prevalent in their game against the Falcons. They basically just shat it away because of their, they didn't have enough depth to keep up with Julio and Matt Ryan.
Absolutely. Matt Ryan came out and he played with a vengeance that game. I believe he even ran one in for a touchdown. That's not Matt Ryan's play style. Matt Ryan was definitely there to play and win, and he's looking to win the NFC right there. That's that's him playing. Like I said, they came off that loss to the Eagles. Definitely a rough start. Like I said, they expected great things out of from both these teams, and they just come out and absolutely dominate. And that's the thing. Sometimes Cam Newton is a great quarterback, but like I said, he can't do it himself, and sometimes that inconsistency will lose you football games.
Yep. This would be my game of the week. The game of last week. The Patriots and the Jaguars. I mean, I was the only one that called it. I would just like to say that.
Beat them bad too. Very.
Blake Bortles proved that he can still win without a healthy Leonard Fournette. Even if he's hurting or whatever, he can still be a winner. He found offensive weapons that people said that he didn't have, and he basically shut down TB12 and the entire Patriots organization.
And like if you look at it, like when you get quarterbacks, not necessarily when you consider it at an elite level. Some people would consider Blake Bortles an elite level, but that don't have that huge pay like Aaron Rodgers does. The team can afford to pay that defense a lot of money. That defense is being paid more than like 90-something countries pay for their national defense. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, they pay a lot of money for that. But that defense shows up and can stop a Patriots offense. And that's why they picked up Josh Gordon this week, because they need more offensive weapons.
More about the Josh Gordon pickup from the Patriots. I think it's a good fit for him.
I disagree.
He's gonna have a quarterback that can deliver the ball to him. Not saying that Tyrod couldn't, but Tyrod also had Jarvis Landry and all those other weapons.
Mm-hmm.
The only other weapon that Brady has that's really a significant receiver is Gronk. And he's just focused on getting 69 touchdowns before he just calls it quits on this season.
But I just think you had Eric Decker that went out there. The Patriots have gone through a bunch of receivers. Mm-hmm. I saw something. It's 20-plus receiver transactions since March of last year. They've gone through and traded and done all this stuff with the receivers. Eric Decker couldn't, personally, I don't believe, could go through the Belichick system. Yeah. I feel like he thought it was too hard. I think with Josh Gordon's attitude and his history, I don't think he's going to be able to play well with Belichick. I don't think Belichick's going to like him with that attitude. I think Belichick's going to be like, all right, you're just going to go out and run routes. Because if other than that, I don't think Josh Gordon's going to want to play for him.
Well, I just think that they'll keep a close eye on him, even with his past of, failing of drug tests. I think that they'll keep him like on a straight and narrow and just be like, if you sway in any way, we're just going to trade, we're going to release you or trade you and get something out of you, because they only gave up a 4th-round pick for him.
And I think he's worth more than a 4th-round pick. He scored a touchdown in week 1.
Yeah,
like I said, he's definitely worth it.
Absolutely, he's worth at least a 2nd or 3rd-round pick. But just because of his history, they gave him a 4th. Mm-hmm. And I think that 4th rounds, they don't usually make a starting lineup or whatever, make a starting roster, but I just think that the Patriots walked away with the steal with Josh Gordon.
Well, there's something to be said about putting a player in a new environment. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that brings out the best in them. You see this in sports all the time. The most recent thing I can think of is Oladipo coming to the Pacers and just absolutely becoming an all-star. Yeah. If the system works out for him, we could see it. Like, I don't want to say a whole new player, but a much improved player who's already good.
He's still got quite a bit of football to play. Like I said, he's not on a decline by any means. He can still show that he's got it. Like I said, I just hope he vibes well in that New England front office.
Speaking of the Browns and their trade, they lost to the Saints by 3 points, and this week they pick up kicker Greg Joseph from he was an ex-Dolphins kicker. Hopefully, he can make those clutch field goals. The past 2 games they've either lost or tied because of a clutch field goal that was missed. I think that they honestly should have tried to sign Dan Bailey, although Dan Bailey declined 5 teams' offers, and I would say he declined the Browns' offer.
Like I said, you see a lot of the times here, this is week 2. Granted, it's only 2 weeks in a 16-week season, or a 17-week season, 16 games, but fans and teams are going to start to freak out when you go 1-1, or when they expect a lot. Like I said, especially with that tie with the Vikings Green Bay, people start to get nervous and scared. And like I said, they're willing to make these trades. And the same thing that happened with the Patriots. Oh man, we lost to the Jags. We gotta figure out something for an offensive weapon. They gotta realize the plays they have to make. Maybe they didn't make that many plays during the offseason, but they realize where their holes are now, and they're trying to fill that gap.
I just want to say that Kirk Cousins is probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league.
He did very good. Especially people say he's not clutch. He showed his clutch gene.
He
in that
had
game.
literally a perfect pass against Green Bay. I was
He had
watching.
2 in a row. He had the one to Adam Thielen, I think, which tied the game,
Yeah.
or which got him down. And then the one to Stephon Diggs for the 2-point conversion was an
Yeah.
absolute beautiful ball.
I can't remember which touchdown it was, but like he threw it and there was defender's hands and
That
literally
was the one that
floated
tied. That's the one that
right
tied.
over
Yep.
top of the defender's hands. And as a person that loves football, you just gotta admire those type of plays.
But let's just real quick from that game, you had 2 very controversial roughing the passer calls.
Yeah.
One with Kendricks and one with Clay Matthews. Both of them, the refs are saying it's not with the new rule, but it's from a previous rule where you're not allowed to sweep the quarterback's legs and drop them basically.
Yeah.
But I just think both these plays are wonderful football moves. Granted, Kendricks does kind of throw that butt in the air and it looks like he does pin him to the ground a little bit. But especially the Clay Matthews one. Clay Matthews has been called for 2 last week against the Bears and this week, and it's been one of them game tying and one of them nearly game ending, nearly lost because of that. And it's just like I said, Clay Matthews doesn't know what to do. Like I said, you can't get physical with these quarterbacks anymore. And like I said, I've been saying it for weeks now, man. It's just rough for a defensive player. You can't attack them high because you're going to get called for helmet to helmet. You can't attack them low below the knee because then you're going to get a foul. And now you got the Aaron Rodgers rule. Well, you can't land on them and you can't make sure they don't get rid of it. All you can do is wrap up and just walk them back 15 yards. At that point, any decent quarterback's going to throw it away.
Yeah. Well, Von Miller kind of summed it up perfectly during the Monday night game. That he was like a couple years ago Brady got hurt. He had that really bad knee injury.
And so they told him to stop going for the knees. Yeah.
So they made the rule to stop hitting low. And then last year Aaron Rodgers got
Barr.
he got his shoulder messed up. So they said, all right, don't land on top of him. And Von Miller was like, so what am I supposed to do? There's not all these hits that you can, hit them from the side because you have somebody like Aaron Rodgers that can get away from that, or Russell Wilson that can get away from it.
At the best point now, I think it's just best for D tackles and D ends. Honestly, D tackles to hold up the quarterback, keep him in one spot, and the D end honestly just reach for a ball. Yeah. Like I said, don't even touch the quarterback. Just try and get a fumble.
Yeah,
like
Khalil Mack did that against the Seahawks. He didn't try for the sack. He just went straight for the ball because that's all you can do.
And honestly, like I said, instead of getting hit on the quarterback, which could be a foul that he doesn't know, he gets the ball and, like I said, gets a fumble recovery or whatever it may be, or one of the other teammates does. Like I said, at this point, that might be what's best for defense now. They might have to look for that instead of getting sacks.
It's going to start being a turnover game.
But even then, sacks this year, I don't know if it's an offensive line issue and an increase in defensive talent or what it may be, but there have been 7 sacks this year under 2.5 seconds, which is the average time throw to pass or snap to pass for any quarterback. At that point, with 2.5 seconds, I just think that's just blown coverage by an offensive lineman. Yeah. Like I said, it could be they bring in heat or whatever it may be, but even then, you can check out, you can do different things. But I just think the offensive line in the pass blocking has been abysmal. Like I said, just letting guys completely off. The Tampa Bay got to Nick Foles several times this week, and it was absolutely ridiculous. And I felt bad for him. And the thing is, the Eagles are considered to have a good offensive line. And like I said, it's just kind of mind blowing.
Like with that, the Giants and the Cowboys game, we had 5 sacks, against Eli Manning, and it was because we started running the T&E stunt, which is where the end goes in a curl, and then the defensive tackle shoots crooked. Yeah, and then the end comes around, and then they don't know what to do because the other guy's already up in the next level to a linebacker, and that's how we were so successful against the Giants. But I think that maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe defenses are coming up with new schemes and stuff. Not new schemes, but schemes that haven't been seen before by that team. Or maybe it is just, these offensive linemen really just aren't blocking like they have in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Just a transition. How are you feeling about Fitzmagic?
I'm feeling great about Fitzmagic, man. Like, it's fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Or is that the other way around? It's absolutely amazing. With them, one of the first plays of the game, 75-yard bomb to Deshaun Jackson. Another drive or two later, same thing, but to O.J. Howard, and just outruns receivers. I think the reason we're so successful is definitely, again, against that Eagles defense, they were playing a more bend don't break strategy, as in they would let us catch passes all day, but as soon as we were there, they'd be there to tackle us.
Yeah.
But OJ and Deshaun Jackson are athletes, and they make a way and they make great plays. But I think it's Fitzmagic and Patrick Mahomes lead the league right now in passer rating and passes and touchdowns and everything. No one could ever foresee.
Yeah, two people in the week 1 predictions that we said we're gonna have a struggling season this year are just showing us up. A quick question for you. So say Fitzmagic has a really bad game next week. I don't know who you guys played.
Steelers.
The Steelers.
Yes.
So say he has a pretty bad game. Probably like 160 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. We'll say that.
That's a rough
game. Does Winston get the start over him in week 4 after his suspension, or do you think that these first 2 weeks have shown that Fitzpatrick, whatever one, do you think that these first 2 weeks have shown hey, he can work under this system?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna just like Deshaun Jackson had said, I'm gonna go with the hot hand right now.
Mm-hmm.
At least until he proves that he is not anymore. I think that Jameis needs to be ready to play at any moment. I think if he does very bad here against Steelers, I think week 4 they should start Fitzmagic, and if it's not going well, Jameis in the second half. Give him a little bit of time. Like I said, not necessarily throw the kid under the bus as soon as he throws a pick, but like I said, he's been great. He's shown that he has vibed well with the team. I feel like the team is clicking on a whole new level. He threw to 4 or 5 different bucks this game.
Yeah.
I guess in that game, he's just spreading the ball out like Jameis can't.
So you think in one game at half, if he's doing bad, they should throw in Jameis?
Maybe not
After the hot start?
If he plays bad against the Steelers, plays really bad against the Steelers, and I can't think of who would play week 4 off the top of my head.
I think it's the Falcons, right?
It probably is. Like I said, we're definitely getting close into divisional games. But I would give him like I said, if he plays bad again, very bad.
So has a bad game and then has a bad half to follow up.
So say he has a week like he had this week against the Steelers. Next week, does he? He
starts.
He
starts until he proves he can. And even then, even if he loses, I'll still give him a couple more starts.
Yeah.
If he can put 3 good games together, he's got the job for the foreseeable year.
Okay.
In my eyes, unless he really Nathan Peterman's it, unless he pulls an abysmal I think Jameis is still a good quarterback. But I don't in any way still see Ryan Fitzpatrick still being a franchise quarterback. I can see him being our starter for the time being, but I still think Jameis is the future, and Jameis is still our main option.
So this is Jameis's contract year. This is his last year on contract. Do you see them resigning if, say, Fitzmagic does, say he has a good season, he leads you guys to probably let's just say a 10-6 record.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the Buccaneers organization re-signing Jameis, or at least to a 1-year deal, franchise tagging, or do you see them just releasing them and not sticking with Fitzpatrick, but finding a younger quarterback that they think that would fit better in their system rather than Jameis, because Jameis had a good season 2 years ago.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then
the whole Bucs organization.
Yeah. And then last year they kind of they didn't meet the standards that they did the year before.
I think it's a trend that you're seeing a lot now with quarterbacks. They are decent their first couple years. Decent.
This is really good in Dallas too.
Yeah, they're decent their first couple years. But then, like I said, you get these guys that mature, and they've been in the league for a while. Like I said, Ryan Fitzmagic is 34, 35 right now. He's old for a quarterback. Like I said, you have Tom Brady being 40 right now. These quarterbacks are getting older, but they're good passers. They can read defensive very well. And Jameis is still 24, 25. Jameis is still very young. And I think you can learn a lot from Ryan Fitzpatrick, but I still think he's the future. I still think Jameis has, if he wants it, 10 years in this league. Like I said, and I still think Jameis is our go-to guy for the foreseeable future. I love Ryan Fitzmagic. He's done unfathomable things to 2 of the better teams in this league these past couple weeks. Granted, the Eagles were very shaken up this week, injury-wise. A lot of teams are. But, like I said, at the end of the day, if that gives us a playoff spot, it's a playoff spot. I mean, I don't care if you're hurt or not. We still beat you. So.
There's also news out of Philadelphia Week 3, Carson Wentz is starting over Nick Foles.
They said he's ready. Who do they play?
I'm not sure.
If it's, I mean, like I said, they thought they'd beat.
They
Tampa
play the
Bay.
Colts, so I mean, it really doesn't matter in that game.
I don't know.
In my opinion,
The Colts wiped whoever they played week 2. They destroyed them. It was Washington. They destroyed Washington.
It's the Redskins. Like,
I expected that game to be a little bit closer than it was. I don't know, man.
I think maybe the Redskins and Giants battle for worst in NFC East, and then it's a battle for top in NFC East against the Cowboys and the Eagles. I think the Eagles will win it just because of, by the time they start playing the Cowboys, Carson Wentz will be back, or he should be. I don't know. I just don't think that win is as impressive. I think that the Eagles, either way, with or without Carson Wentz playing next week, they get that win no matter what.
Okay.
I would agree. I think they're gonna get. They're gonna come out with a win.
Yeah.
To me.
I think they should go ahead and maybe start Carson Wentz just so they can get the flow working.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like with that, we're gonna go ahead and start moving into week 3. We're already at 20 minutes talking about last week and everything like that. So.
Well, just before we start to get into our games, we want to touch base on what's going on with the Steelers organization.
That's right.
Right
That's
now.
right. Yeah, absolutely. That's huge news.
I mean, obviously you have the Le'Veon. He was taken off the depth chart, this past week.
Well, that's a shot right there.
Yeah, he was taken off of the depth chart, and then obviously James Conner is, the starting running back. They put him up on the depth chart, took Le'Veon off, and you haven't really heard anything else out of Le'Veon. And I feel like it's just one of those
Besides
things.
him in a club rapping, I mean, like that's random off-field stuff that I guess is irrelevant.
But I mean, like, after they tied against the Browns, he tweeted an emoji.
Mm-hmm.
But like, after they, after this week's game, he didn't really he was kind of mute about it. He didn't say anything.
I think he's enjoying his time off.
Yeah,
honestly,
I mean,
like I said, I think he's okay right now.
I mean, if I was the Steelers, I would just trade him.
I would as well. I would. Even I know, a few Steelers fans, and they're all clamoring for a trade. Like, they're tired of this.
Well, yeah. And I mean, it's kind of like a LeBron and Cleveland version 1. You trade him before he can leave, so you still get something out of him. Because if he does this all season long, they're not going to re-sign him on a franchise tag, and they're not going to get anything out of him.
Yeah.
So they basically just wasted their own money.
Well, not even that. I looking at that. This is what I'm worried about will happen in LA with what's going on right now with the Steelers. Too many big heads. Too many characters in that locker room. You got Mike Tomlin, Big Ben, who in and of himself is basically a crybaby. And AB is just wants to rock any chance he gets. He goes on the sideline cussing out offensive coordinators, saying he's going to punch a media guy in the face or whatever. That wasn't covered very heavily, but that's a lot of ego in a locker room, and that's what they're seeing it right now. Things aren't coming together like they thought, and so they're falling apart. They can't stick through the hard stuff.
Well, you said something about LA. I don't know. I think at least from what it seems like, everybody in LA is pretty
Anybody
selfless.
can make it look okay from the outside.
Yeah, from the outside, it looks like everybody's pretty selfless. You have Jared Goff and Todd Gurley, sharing, obviously Todd Gurley just signed this massive deal.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of well deserved.
You see LA winning a Super Bowl in the next 5 years, correct?
I see them winning it this year.
They have jumped to number one
in the power rankings. But since this offseason, I've said that they're my Super Bowl favorite this year.
I will give it them this year. Maybe whenever Jared Goff comes off that contract, he's going to want his money too.
Yeah.
They don't have enough money to pay all those players.
So
that's not the way the cap space works.
So you're saying
it's
going
to break up.
3 years, and then the LA dynasty.
They're gonna fizzle back out.
So they have a relatively small window in your eyes.
They do. Yeah. They have a very small window, and that's what they have a small window. They need to go ahead and attack on that.
I don't know. I feel like this is more of kind of basically the New England of the NFC. They found their Tom Brady. They found people who can work in this system.
They're still Jared Goff's what? This is his second or third year.
This is his third year.
He's relatively still unproven.
Yeah.
3 years is not.
But,
like I said, he's got just like how Jameis had a good year that one time. I mean, it could be a fluke.
He
didn't. He does. He's not. If you look at his stats, granted, Todd Gurley makes him look very good. Mm-hmm. He's not that good of a passer. I know. I have him on my fantasy team. He's not that great of a passer. He's not going to put up huge numbers.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'd say probably their weakness right now is their receivers. They have a couple big names, but they don't really have a standout wow factor receiver. They have a pretty decent offensive line. If Todd Gurley can be one of the best rushers in the NFL, their defense is unfair at this point. I thought that they were going to get Khalil Mack in a trade, and if they did, then that was going to be even more bad for the league. I don't know. I just don't see them. I don't think there's a single game I could see them losing this year.
All right. Do we go on to games for next week?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So we're gonna start out with the Thursday night football game, the Brown Bowl, I guess, the Toilet Bowl actually, against the Browns and the Jets. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a bad title for it. I mean, they're two teams that are on the uprise. I
Still
think
not necessarily a good Thursday night
it's not a good Thursday night game, but I just think that the Browns win this. They've put up good competition against the Steelers and the Saints. Now, granted, both of those teams are one of them's 0-1-1, and then one of them's 1-1, but
But those are still two teams that everybody thought were really good.
Yeah.
And the verdict's not out yet, obviously. So
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm just sticking with the Cleveland all this year, or not all this year, but in these close games like this, I think that Cleveland finally breaks the curse and finally gets a win under their belt.
Hopefully that they got a kicker.
I'm gonna agree with you. I think the Browns come out with a win. They've played aggressively and they've played well in the two games they've played so far. What they're missing was a kicker. Hopefully this new guy comes in and he does the other one cutting and put games away.
I just think that's rough coming out. You're signed on Monday or Tuesday, off of another team. You come in and you got to be ready to play on Thursday. He's got travel time. He's got all this. He's got all this stuff going on in his head right now. That's a lot of time to get snap, cadence, kick.
Yeah.
And everything. That's a lot. Like I said, I wouldn't put this man out past 35 yards this week.
I mean,
I give him some time to warm up a little bit. I don't see him kicking 50-yard bombs like Adam Vinatieri out there right now.
Very few can do that.
He may come out and be worse than what their previous kicker was, but he needs time to adjust into the environment. Like I said, get used to everything and stuff like that. Especially in the NFL.
I wouldn't be overly concerned because at the end of the day, these are professionals, and this is their job, and I think they don't need a ton of time to adjust. I mean, Khalil Mack came in.
Yeah.
And just absolutely from the start, and that that's not the same kind of issue, but at the same time, I think that
I mean, we said week 1. He said, "Just go get the quarterback. All he's got to do is go kick a ball." I mean, if you simplify it down to the simplest thing, he's gonna be good or he's not. I guess you got a great point.
I also think that the Jets, they played the Dolphins and they gave their rookie quarterback 41 attempts. 41 for a rookie, like. I want to know a team that trusts another rookie quarterback that much.
The Chiefs do.
I'm sorry.
I'm not thinking. I forgot he played last year.
He's on a rookie. He didn't play last year, but he was in the league. He got some.
I forgot.
But he's a rookie. Like this is his first year. Sam Darnold's my offensive rookie of the year. I just don't think that he has what it takes to lead the Jets to a win. At least not yet. I think that within the next. Probably 5 to 7 years, the Jets end up getting a team enough to get them to the playoffs. And the next game we're going to go with is the Bengals and the Panthers.
Okay, so like I previously stated, I am a little worried about this game, going, to the Panthers and then being played with injuries like we are. It's going to be tough. I do think Andy Dalton and A.J. Green are playing great football right now.
Your two favorite quarterbacks are playing against each other.
That is true. I'm a Bengals fan and I'm a Cam Newton fan, so I'm going to enjoy the game. Either way, obviously I want the Bengals to win, and I think they do come out with a win.
I think you're going to look at granted Joe Mixon's hurt, but I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be a big difference maker in this game. I don't think it's enough. I saw the Bengals defense against the Colts. It might have been dumb luck, but against the Ravens was very good. I think they're trying to get in their groove. I think Cam can do very well, but I don't think Cam can beat that Bengals defense.
I don't know. Week after week, I keep kind of doubting the Bengals organization.
As everyone does.
Yeah,
it's
but
okay. I do too.
I mean, even on Twitter, you called me out on it. I don't know. I see them winning this game. Starting off the 3-0. Because really, who did the Panthers have on defense? Luke Kuechly, I think he's still out on concussion protocol. You know, they don't really have any good corners. They not really any safeties. They have Jabril Peppers. That's about it on their defense. I just think that this offense of Cincinnati is out. Weighing the defense of the Panthers.
One thing I want to talk about, which I certainly didn't expect this. Tyler Boyd has come alive.
Oh yeah,
he has looked like the second option immediately, and I think a lot of us expected John Ross to kind of fill that spot, and he still has yet to prove anything.
Mm-hmm.
So Tyler Boyd coming out, he got a touchdown last game, but more than that, he was there. I mean, he caught everything that was thrown at him basically. When AJ Green wasn't open, he was.
Yeah.
And he every chance he got, he proved it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's everything is coming together, and I trust Geno Atkins and Carlos Dunlap to contain Cam.
Yeah.
And if all those things go right, and I think at least defensively it will.
Yeah.
We're gonna win the game.
Yeah. Basically, all you got to do with that team now that they have all those injuries that we keep talking about, all you got to do is just contain Cam. That's literally all you have to do to beat the Panthers. All right. Next game, Tampa Bay and the Steelers, the Monday night game.
I'm excited. First primetime game this season. I'm excited.
I don't know. The Steelers are looking like a pretty bad team this year. I mean, we've talked about it before. Maybe Big Ben's hurt. Maybe he's scared.
They have till Monday to get it together.
Yeah,
Big Ben with AB with everything.
I don't know. I just think that Ben Roethlisberger is reaching his end of his career. I think this might be his last season.
Especially with all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's going to taint his legacy if he stays too much longer dealing with this kind of stuff.
Fitzpatrick is on a roll. That Tampa Bay offense is looking really, really good. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay on this game.
I will too. And, I think I've picked the Steelers, the first two games that they've played.
Mm-hmm.
And that disappointed me both times.
Yeah.
And like we said at the beginning of the year, the Steelers have a bunch of small, nagging problems that, we're seeing it right now. To combine, this is really detrimental to their team. Mm-hmm. They're falling apart.
Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, you're going to go with the Buccaneers.
Absolutely, Tampa Bay. Absolutely. Like I said, Mike Evans, wonderful receiver, hasn't shown out too much. But like I said, everyone else has shown out, so he doesn't need to. He's a team player. He's willing to share the rock. I just love what Tampa Bay is doing right now. They haven't disappointed me yet this year. Ryan Fitzmagic is coming out. If he wins this week, I'm telling you, he'll start with the next. To answer your question earlier, we play the Bears, which will be very rough with Khalil Mack. Which, like I said, might benefit Jameis a little bit better. But I think maybe that offensive. We actually just had our offensive coordinator first time ever calling calls instead of the head coach Derek Cutter. I think we can maybe run a dual quarterback set. Just being smart with the ball and everything. Ryan Fitzmagic is obviously a better thrower than Jameis, but Jameis is also a playmaker. Sometimes a dangerous playmaker, but he's a playmaker, and I think that could be beneficial to us coming into the future.
So when you say double quarterback set, do you mean like situational or just
situational? Situational.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you don't mean like formation wise.
No, not some Ravens stuff going on.
So if they were to do that, who goes in fourth quarter with the game tied?
Fitzmagic.
Yeah, Fitzmagic.
Really?
Like I said, especially if he plays most of the game, yes. That's what it'll be more Ryan Fitzpatrick until they see a good point where Jameis could come in.
Or until he basically does what he's done for all of his past teams and just crack the
and that's what I'm saying. And that's what I love Ryan Fitzmagic. I love what he's doing right now. But like I said, he does that where he just crafts the bet. Like I said, he's played for 5 different teams or whatever it may have been. Like, he's so inconsistent, and he's coming to this consistency right now. And just the past has just always
scares you, doesn't it?
I'm just waiting for it, man. I'm waiting for it to happen. I hope it happens against like the Browns where we can recover. But God, if we lose to the Browns, I might just die on the inside. I'll die a little bit. I just want y'all to know that.
So just something a little interesting is that like this matchup, the Steelers are 10th and you guys are 11th in power rankings. Mm-hmm. The Steelers having dropped down, 2 spots from 8, and you guys rising from 19th to 11. So y'all are right there. According to at least ESPN, you guys are negative.
Yeah, and I see it if we beat the Steelers right now, if we beat the Steelers on Monday Night Football, we don't just switch swap. I don't see it happening.
They
the Steelers,
have to fall.
With them if they were to go to 0-2-1, basically 3 losses. The tie is kind of that would come down to at the very minimum, like when you're determining playoffs, it's basically a loss. It's not a win, so I'm going to consider it a loss. But that's for a playoff team that from last year. That's an awful start.
Yeah,
That's a terrible start, and I see them dropping to 19th, like I said, or around that area, or maybe not 19th, but 15, 16, somewhere around there. They got to put it together.
It's well deserved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand, being hesitant to drop them.
You can only go so far after a name.
After a tie and a loss, I can see, you not wanting to drop them down that low. But if, like you said, you want to consider it 0-3, like that's not good.
Yeah.
You can't be a top 10, that way.
Even the Colts have won in the game. Like.
And then the next game is going to be the Dallas Cowboys and the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks looked really rough.
Really bad.
I mean, I don't know if that was just because, the Bears have, basically a god in Khalil Mack on their team because he's having a pretty good year this year.
And that's the big question about that game that they played. Was it more Seattle's offensive line was awful or the Bears' defensive front was just that good?
But also our defensive front looked good against the Giants' offensive line. But then again, the Giants' offensive line and the Seattle's offensive line, they kind of simulate. Yeah. They're kind of on the same playing field. So, but Eli Manning's not really a Russell Wilson.
That's been something that the Cowboys. I think that's the reason why the Bucs have done good this year because the defense has been more consistent. The Cowboys haven't had a consistent defense since 2006.
Yeah,
I mean it's a big deal for Dallas, and that's what, like I said, that wins championship. A quarterback can get you a lead, but the defense is going to keep a lead.
Yeah. Just to make this short, I just think that the Cowboys, Dak and Zeke had a pretty good game. Our Scott Lennon, our offensive coordinator, he started calling some pretty good calls. He got some confidence in him. Obviously first play went straight downfield to Tavon Austin.
You gotta love that's some John Gruden type stuff going on that we did similar.
That's what everybody's saying. We're not the Dallas Cowboys aren't an organization to just throw the ball deep.
They're not explosive in their march on the field.
Yeah, slow slants and crosses across the field. Hand the ball off to
regardless of what team you're on. There's times for that.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter, you're down. Yes, you want explosive plays. You want Saquon Barkley to break it off 80 yards or whatever it is. You want that. But, like I said, in order to maintain a lead, you have to be able to march down the field slowly. And that's what I think Tampa Bay struggles with. Yes, we had 2 from 75 yards on Sunday. But it doesn't do us any good when we can't hold a lead. When we're 3 and out and we punt it back to them. Because it's not going to happen every time.
You did kind of crap away your lead, but you really won.
And we did it week 1 too against the Saints. Like I said, we go up. Yeah, we go up a lot, and then like I said, they start coming back. Defense works well. Defense works very well, but the offense still got to be able to run that clock and still persistent to drive and at least get 3 points on the board.
All right. All in all, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys on this game.
I got Cowboys.
Yep.
Is that a 3-0 sweep right there?
It is.
Let's go to the Saints-Falcons game. Definitely an early matchup in their division. The Falcons are gonna come out and be explosive like they showed they could last week, and hopefully can convert points in the red zone like they haven't been able to in the past. But like I said, they need to get on the same page with Julio, with all their offensive weapons they got out there, Austin Hooper and everything like that. The defense is playing decently well. And the Saints defense even plays decently well besides Marshawn Lattimore, really. He's so inconsistent. But that's going to be definitely one of the better games to watch this week. I would consider it a key matchup.
So you said, that they showed they were better in the red zone, to actually give a stat for that. They were 4 for 4 scoring touchdowns inside the 20-yard line.
And I guarantee you that week that's probably all they practice on. Like I said,
because they were 1 for 5
yeah,
last game.
Exactly.
So that would be an important thing for me, and they proved that they focused on it and they accomplished it.
Yep.
Definitely the Saints-Falcons game. I'm definitely gonna have to go with the Falcons. The Saints, Drew Brees and he's having a pretty average year for Drew Brees. But
we wanted more.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara hasn't showed out. Like
he hasn't really done anything. Nobody's
Michael Thomas has been great though.
He's made plays. He's been that explosive player on that team this year. But I just don't think that that's enough. They haven't really. They beat the Browns by 3. And that's not taking a shot at the Browns. That's just saying.
But if they have a good kicker, the Browns win that game. Like you said,
like
that's still a rough. That's rough to be in.
Yeah. Maybe the kicker that they just signed ties that game up, and then the Browns win that game.
The Browns missed 5 easy points.
Yeah,
two. I think it was 2 extra points and a couple field goals.
The Saints haven't done anything to improve their roster yet.
There's absolutely nothing impressive or anything they've done so far.
Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna have to go with the Falcons on that.
Same.
All right, this is our lightning round section where we go through the rest of the games. Say one or two quick things about it, and then just discuss, or not discuss, but just quick fire through them. Broncos and Ravens. I'm gonna go with the Broncos. Their defense looks really strong. Ravens really aren't impressing me this year.
Mine's Ravens. Joe Flacco, still decent quarterback so far, isn't reached midseason form.
And I would go Ravens as well, just because even though they lost last week, they still almost came back in the game. The offense is looking good.
Right. Titans and Jaguars. Jaguars are my AFC favorite for the Super Bowl. Ever since last year, Blake Bortles has proved that he can, make money moves.
Jacksonville, the exact opposite reason you do. Defense is going to win them the game.
And just to piggyback off of you, I also think Jacksonville via defense.
All right, Raiders and Dolphins. Raiders, I just think that their offense is going to show out this game. Dolphins really hasn't, they've impressed me, but,
Despite going 2-0.
Yeah, they haven't really, played anybody tough.
True.
Raiders have been so inconsistent this year with the new quarterback, or new coach, and everything. I think it's a struggle for them right now. I think Dolphins come out and shock them and win.
I got Raiders.
Raiders? All right.
I'm calling 3-0. I'm calling 3-0 in Florida.
All right, Houston and the Giants. Both teams are 0-2. Bad place to start out. I don't know. Deshaun Watson really hasn't shown out this year. Eli Manning looked really bad against the Cowboys. I'm gonna have to go with the Texans on this one though because of the defense.
I'm gonna go Texans because of offense. I think I really hope Deshaun Watson. I love to see him play. I want to see him come back from that ACL injury or whatever it might have been, but he hasn't shown it so far. But hopefully this is a good game for him to show out and show what he can still do.
I'm agree with you. The defense wins this game.
All right.
Sorry, bud.
49ers and Chiefs, they're not undefeated anymore. Jimmy Garoppolo's lost a game. Two really good quarterbacks that got off to a hot start when they started. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go with San Francisco on this one. I just don't think that somebody can throw for 5 more touchdowns.
Do you watch football?
I do.
Do you watch football?
I do.
I'm going Kansas City over there. Patrick Mahomes. You got Tyreek Hill. The amount of weapons they have there is ridiculous. I don't think San Francisco's defense is ready for that. Granted, they have Sherman and whatever else they may have over there. I just think Kansas City's got them by a mile. Kansas City has been explosive, been blowing out teams, and I have them all the way.
Right.
So I have Kansas City as well.
Kansas City.
They beat the Steelers. I think they scored. Big Ben had 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions at home, and still lost. That shows how explosive that team is on offense.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes becomes the youngest quarterback in NFL history to throw 6 touchdown passes in a game.
No interceptions though.
Yeah, he had more touchdowns than he did incompletions.
Yeah.
He had 5 incompletions and 6 touchdowns. That's ridiculous.
He's had 10 touchdowns so far, averaging 5 each game. 4 in the first one, 6 in the next one, but he hasn't thrown a pick yet. I don't know. I just think that San Francisco's team that he throws a pick.
I'm going with his hot hand right now. So.
All right. Vikings and Bills. I don't know. Vikings looked really good against Green Bay.
Bills look atrocious though.
They do. I just think Kirk Cousins and that offense and that defense gets them to an NFC Championship, and the Bills are going to fall victim to the Vikings.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have the Vikings in this one. The Bills have, to me, just looked terrible.
Absolutely, I agree. Who do you think starts out for the Bills, though? Josh Allen or Nathan Peterman?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen starting out. As long as the Vikings can not get penalties, they'll be good.
Right. The Battle of LA, the Rams and the Chargers. I'm gonna go with the Rams. They've looked really good. Obviously we've said multiple times they're my Super Bowl favorite. I don't see them losing a game this year. There's no chance that they lose against the Chargers.
I really want to quit piggybacking off you, but I have, you're saying exactly what I want to say. I have the Rams, and I also think the Rams.
We'll let you speak first next time. I got you.
They're my Super Bowl favorites as well, and I think, Todd Gurley is deadly, and I think, the Chargers are going to be able to, compete.
I agree completely. I think Chargers are still a decent team. I think they're a good team. I think they can make the playoffs, but the Rams, like I said, you got those offensive weapons. I guess it's just from a hater's point. I'm just ready for things to fall apart and for the Rams. I want to see it fail because I don't want to see these super teams start emerging.
All right, Patriots and Lions. I think this one's going to be anonymous, or not
Still
anonymous, but
unanimous.
Unanimous, yeah, that one. I just think that the Patriots, or the Lions looked really, really bad. They lost to the Jets by how much? 30?
That was week 1.
Yeah, but I mean, still,
this game isn't a competition. Everybody knows going into this game who's winning.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, exactly. I still believe in. I've had Detroit's back. I'm not a Detroit fan by any means. I just like what they're doing out there. I hate that Matt Patricia is that his name? The new head coach is struggling out there. I don't think he's gonna beat old Belichick, but I think it's gonna be entertaining to watch him look across and him and Belichick just looking at each other and no smile will ever come across their face ever. It'll be great.
All right, Packers Redskins. Aaron Rodgers. I think that the Packers could beat this with their backup quarterback. Honestly.
Aaron Rodgers does Aaron Rodgers things, of course. So.
The Redskins just aren't an impressive team this year. All right.
Chicago, Arizona?
Definitely Chicago.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Hot hand right now.
Yeah.
So they're playing great football right now. Mitch Trubisky's doing great. He's showed he can be a good quarterback in and out of the pocket last week. And
so Chicago would be my Super Bowl favorite if Mitch Trubisky could get a handle on his
favorite
game.
As in most likely, or favorite as in you just want to see them win?
No. Like they would be my Super Bowl favorite, like most likely. As long as Mitch Trubisky could get his game under control.
Are you sure you watch football?
I do watch football. I watch it every Sunday, Thursday, and Monday, and Saturday sometimes. All right, so that's it for this week in predictions and all that. We're going to get into our top stories of the week.
So obviously that's going to be it for our prediction part of this podcast this week. But we're definitely going to look into restructuring this, guys. Obviously we're 46 minutes in, and we're not able to talk about other sports news that we have. So give us some suggestions. I think right now we're looking at maybe doing our teams, Cowboys, Bengals, Tampa Bay, talking about their matchups, also key matchups, or maybe even doing the lightning round. I think we'll definitely lean one way or the other. Would you rather see us only talk about a couple games and go more in depth with those, or would you rather see us lightning round through it where we don't get a lot of conversation? We could still rate all the games just off screen and show you our record and things like that if you guys would like. But absolutely, we're absolutely open to suggestions. Anything you guys would like, find us on Twitter, send us a DM, add us, do all that good stuff.
Feel free to straight up attack us whenever you want.
Please not physically. I'm not. I'm not ready for that.
All right, so on to our stories of the week. Austin, you go first.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the rushing yards, can you tell me the top rushers right now in the NFL?
I could not. I'm gonna assume that it's James Conner. I know Zeke hasn't had he hasn't had a very well season so far. So he's gonna be in the top, or he's gonna be up there, but he's not gonna be the top. I'm gonna say top is James Conner. Second is probably Todd Gurley. That's just.
You're very close. The current rushing leaders are Matt Breida from San Francisco.
Okay.
Joe Mixon is number 2 with 179 rushing yards, only 6 yards behind. Philip Lindsay from the Broncos.
That's surprising.
Yes, and Lamar Miller
from the Texans.
From the Texans, and James Conner to round out the top 5. Todd Gurley's a close 6, but 5 names that weren't necessarily talked about with top rusher so far in 2 weeks.
Which I mean the Miller as the top rusher.
That's not necessarily a huge surprise.
I mean that really doesn't surprise me given the fact that Deshaun really hasn't done anything. He threw for I think like 160 yards last week. He threw a touchdown and an interception. It really he hasn't got a hold of that offense since he's been back. I just think that that's not really that surprising, but everybody else on there was kind of, especially the Broncos. They're historically more of a passing offense.
Keeping with the rushing stats, Matt Ryan has more rushing touchdowns than Cam Newton, Tyrod Taylor, and Mitch Trubisky, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. He has 2. The rest of them have 1. Granted, that's not a huge difference.
Yeah.
But Matt Ryan, like I said, just like we were talking about, it showed that he's ready to win games. He's ready to put his body out there. and like I said, to extend plays and show that they're a contender this year.
So, Joe Mixon was second on this list, right?
Yes.
So if he stays in this top 5 range, maybe even it's a top 3-ish range, AJ Green called it. He said
He did. He did. He said he's feeling the same.
And I know.
Yep.
I mean, we're not even close to there yet, but just based off of this, AJ Green said at the end of the year he will be in the same conversations as Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley. But as of right now, he is better than Le'Veon Bell, who has yet to play a game.
Do you think he plays by the end of the year?
Le'Veon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, to me, I feel like I don't think he's going to sit out the whole year. All right, we're going into my topic. I want to discuss, just to jump from the NFL to the NBA real quick, because I always have to make sure we get some NBA in. As of today, the day we're recording it at 2 in the morning, it is now 28 days away from the start of the regular season in the NBA.
The NBA always messes with me like that. I feel like they have weird hours, but I am excited. I'm going to really start to watch the NBA this year.
I fell in love with the NBA, I'm going to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I used to hate watching basketball, and it slowly has taken over my life, and I'm obsessed with it. But my story for today is about Jimmy Butler and the Wolves. Jimmy Butler is a top shooting guard in the NBA, and the Minnesota brought him in there to make the playoffs, and they made it, but they barely squeaked in, and that wasn't the goal. So Butler is super unhappy. He has stated that he's unhappy with his younger teammates' work ethic. He's not feel like they're putting enough in. Mm-hmm. And there's that whole incident where Cat was playing, I think it was PUBG with Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Really late into the morning, and I can understand why a veteran player would be upset with those actions. And he met with his coach today, Tom Thibodeau, and I don't know. They might if they don't reach an agreement, he's gonna get traded.
Yeah.
Potentially to the Lakers, I think, with LeBron.
I get where he's coming from, but Cat's still a young guy. So has obviously Ben Simmons is too. But they're there to play a game, I guess. And like I said, they get the night before a game.
But he's not a rookie anymore.
I actually read something today about it. Klay Thompson, his dad, said that he was talking to him about moving to LA with LeBron. Not to the Clippers, but, in LA with LeBron.
You've even seen rumors of KD going to the Lakers. The Lakers are just the spot right now, no, I guess.
But I mean, realistically, Klay Thompson is, everybody sees him as the first Warrior to leave.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because I think, a few weeks ago, I'm not going to say how many weeks exactly because I'm not sure. A few weeks ago, Klay's dad said that Klay will retire a Warrior. Yeah. Now, you can take that two different ways. You could take that as he will be there forever, or he will leave maybe and return. He is going to retire as a Warrior no matter where he ends up.
But we can take that with a grain of salt, too, because it's Klay's dad, not Klay saying
that. Exactly.
But in his mind, Klay Thompson's probably the best. He could probably be – it's a LeVar Ball situation where it's just hyping him up. He could beat him one-on-one easy. He could be LeBron any day of the week.
I feel like maybe he's just blowing smoke, but, I just think that, the Jimmy Butler trade would make more sense, especially for a LeBron-led team.
Here's my prediction. It's not very bold, but – if Jimmy Butler is a good trader, he will either go to the Lakers or he will go to the Knicks. And if he goes to the Knicks, Kyrie is going to sign there
for sure.
Next offseason.
And can you just imagine that team?
If Porzingis comes back, even close to full potential, and you have Jimmy Butler, Kyrie, and Porzingis, and Kevin Knox,
just those three. We don't even know Kevin Knox.
Offensive weapon. That's scary. Mm-hmm. It's a scary team.
Yeah. My story of the week is Vonte Davis walking out at halftime saying, I've had enough of this, bull, crap. And he just walked out on the Bills, which, granted, he let out he had a statement yesterday saying, he thought about it and, he was on the field and he was like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to my body? And it's kind of another one of those, the players are kind of realizing how dangerous this game is. And, he kind of realized, the risk really isn't worth the reward here. So he kind of just walked away. But, whether or not, he told anybody about it is, beyond me. And, you've had a lot of his teammates kind of upset with him about it. But, I understand where he's coming from, and I understand where his teammates are coming from. You don't walk out halfway on, you don't even walk halfway out of a season on your teammates.
Yeah.
Like that's just like a
That was complete crap to me. Like,
It was.
You don't do that.
It was like and you just got to judge him for it, but it's kind of a test to his character.
I mean, you got to think though. He is, for his position at corner, he's a very, very older guy. He's 30 years old. You got John Ross coming out here running circles around this man, and it's not. Like I said, I think he's finally getting to the point. Like you said, he's 30 years old. He's getting to the point of realizing that it's about time for him to phase out of football. Granted, he could have saw that the year before. I think he pushed it when he signed, because he was with the Colts for the longest time.
Yeah.
I think he pushed it when he went and signed for another team. I think he could have left it at that. He would have been maybe a Hall of Famer in the future. Maybe, I mean, he was definitely a decent corner in his prime. But that was just a wrong move on my. I see where he's coming from. I feel like if he's going to put his body in danger like that, it's his mind. Like I said, and he even puts it. He'd rather walk off the field with his mind intact than have to limp himself off and carry what's left of his body off that field to his family, to like his kids and everything.
But I feel like you just kind of like make it dramatic when you say that. Like, I don't know. Like,
is it though? I mean, because you have Mr. Hernandez. I don't know why I call him Mr. Aaron Hernandez, who was with the Patriots, young guy, killed himself in prison.
Did Vonte kill the man?
No.
Is that why?
No.
Is that what you're getting at?
I'm not getting to that. No, but they did research on Aaron Hernandez's brain and said he had very, very rough CTE. That's why they think he might have had anger issues, temperament issues, things like that. I'm not saying every player has that or doesn't have it, but the science is there now. This isn't just like, oh, we'll do it and we pretend. It's not like a shadow in the dark anymore. These concussions that are going on are serious.
Yeah.
The physical damage that this takes on people's bodies.
I'm not saying that
serious.
they're not. We saw that stuff with Ryan Shazier last year. He had to learn how to walk again and all that. And that's terrible. But, I mean, I just don't think that you walk out in the middle of a game or in the middle of a season because you made a commitment to that organization, not only that organization, to your family, to your,
I agree.
teammates.
He probably should have finished out the game, or at warm-ups been like, I can't do it.
And at least finish out the game. Not even finish it out. Or just,
because they say he walked out of the locker room, he was gone. Like he wasn't on the sideline or anything like that, and that's rough.
He walked out in street gear, is what they said. At least ask for a substitution. Just be like, hey, coach, this is probably going to be my last game. It's nothing against you, but I just can't do this. I can't deal with the stress of this game, and I can't deal with the damage that it's doing on my body. That's okay. But when you walk out, halfway through a game, when
allegedly not telling anybody is what we're hearing from the locker room.
Yeah, from allegedly not telling anybody, that kind of shakes the narrative a little bit.
It was handled extremely unprofessionally.
It was, yeah.
Absolutely. We've all played football, and even you had, I can't remember the person who they were interviewing, one of the Bills players. Never seen that before. Like someone walk out of halftime. You've seen people quit after games and stuff like that, or transfer from colleges to colleges after a bad game or whatever. But at halftime, that is rough. I will agree with that. But like I said, he's an older guy. I could see where he's coming from.
Yeah,
the message was good. The delivery was bad.
Yeah. Like I said, I can see where he's coming from, but I just think that he could have handled it a different way to kind of spin it, at least to not worry, at least, at most just be like, hey, coach, I can't play the rest of this game, I'm hurt. Mm-hmm. Fake an injury, we've all done it. But yeah, I don't know, it's just the way that he handled it is what kind of, he kind of disrespected the game when he walked out at halftime.
Also, guys, let us know if you enjoy this style a little bit more. If you guys think 3 people is a lot better. If you think 5 is too much. If you think having Jack Loesch is an absolute amazing addition to our podcast, make sure you at Jack Loesch in particular and say, why weren't you here? Just really make sure he gets that out there. But seriously, all love to Jack. We had a great time. The show must go on sometimes, guys. As Noah was obviously a little bit busy today as well, but I think the 3-man crew worked out well. I think we were able to get a lot done just as well with 5, maybe without all the chaos going on.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Final Buzzer podcast. We appreciate you listening, and make sure that you give us any feedback that you have. You can find us on our Twitter, and all of our personal Twitters are in the bio at Final Buzzer Pod. Make sure you like our Facebook page, also at Final Buzzer Pod. This is Final Buzzer Podcast. Thank you for watching.